everyone, thanks for joining me. Today's question is, why is it so important for me to check my lesson notes? This can be a huge hassle, and so today I want to break down for you the 3 reasons why I find this so important to do and why I'm constantly pestering you about checking your lesson notes when you practice at home. Reason number 1. Your lesson notes act like a roadmap for your practice time at home. You know those movies where people are trying to reach something that's really valuable and it's locked up somewhere and they kind of have to go through some kind of obstacle course in order to get to it? Usually there's, things that'll go horribly wrong if you, say, step on the wrong tile, right? You might be plunged into quicksand or have an anvil dropped on your head. And you have to figure out the right path to take in order to reach your goal. Now imagine that you're the one on this adventure, and the safe that you're trying to get into holds all of your musical goals. Your lesson notes work as a roadmap, telling you which spots to avoid on your journey from point A to point B, where point B is getting to realize all of your musical goals. It gives you a sense of direction. It gives you tips to avoid some of the most common pitfalls. And it also provides what is generally going to be the best and the fastest way to reach your goals. Reason number 2. Everybody learns differently. We can all absorb new information in a variety of different ways, but most of us tend to have one primary method where information just kind of makes the most sense. So whether you're primarily a visual, oral, or kinesthetic learner, my goal is to make new information available to you in all 3 of those ways whenever I can. Now 2 of those 3 we cover pretty well in our lesson time. If you're primarily an oral learner and it makes the most sense to you to hear information, well, we do plenty of that every time I explain something new or teach you a new concept. And if you're primarily a kinesthetic learner, you learn best by doing something yourself, well, that's how we spend a lot of our lesson time, right? We're going through the actual steps and techniques that I want you to be doing at home in your practice. But what if you're like me and you're primarily a visual learner? Well, then it can actually be super helpful to you to have a written record of everything that we did from our lesson, right? If it helps you most to see the new information, if that's how it clicks the best for you, well, your lesson notes are pretty valuable there. And even if you're primarily an oral or kinesthetic learner, having those lesson notes can still give you a great assist when you're at home because they might trigger that exact memory of what it was like to hear the information or to do it in the lesson. Reason number 3. Come on, we all forget stuff all the time, right? It's just part of being human. Sometimes we can't even remember what we had for breakfast a few hours later. It is a natural and normal thing to forget information. That's why when you study for a test, you have to actually study, right? You can't just go through the information once and expect to remember it perfectly. At least most of us can't. I say all the time, if I don't expect myself to remember everything we went over in a lesson, and I'm the one teaching it, how would I expect a student to remember everything when a lot of it could be new information? It's fairly easy for most of us to remember the big bullet points. Which songs are we working on? Maybe which section? Maybe some specifics from the lesson time that you remember just from going through your pieces. But the details are where we tend to make mistakes just because a week can be a long time between lessons. And chances are, even if you're practicing every day, if you forget to do something one day, you're probably going to forget it all of the rest of the days of the week too. Lesson notes are not just a general overview. They include all of the specific tips and practice strategies that are going to take your musicianship to the next level. These details are what will ultimately make you a better musician and advance you towards your musical goals. It can be so frustrating for students to return to a lesson the following week and realize that they're a little behind now just because they forgot to work on something. Don't let this happen to you. I promise it's worth the effort to make your lesson notes work for you, and they will really maximize your practice time and the effort that you're putting in to be the best musician you can be if you let them. Thanks so much for watching. Happy practicing, and I'll see you next time.